Weight cutting. It's one of the strangest and most brutal parts of MMA. Two fighters step in the cage at 155 pounds, but in reality, neither of them is anywhere close to that number. One might be 175 pounds, the other closer to 180 pounds. Just 24 hours earlier, both were half dead, starving, dehydrating, hallucinating, and sometimes even on the verge of passing out. And then, a day later, they're somehow back to full strength and ready to get in a fist fight. So how does this work? Why do fighters torture themselves before every fight?
You feel like you're dying. Your heart is pounding. You're laying in bed.
Well, you kind of are dying.
You 100% are dying.
Let's break it down step by step, from the start of training camp to the weigh-ins, all the way to fight night. Step 1. Training camp begins. The process starts 8 to 12 weeks before fighter. Real weight. A lightweight at 155 pounds, he's probably walking around at 175 to 180 pounds. A welterweight, maybe even 200 pounds. So in camp, fighters start trimming down slowly. Lots of cardio, long runs, grappling sessions, and hard sparring. Combine that with a clean diet and they'll shed the first 10 to 15 pounds without too much drama. But the key is, fighters don't want to arrive at their division weight during camp. They want to stay healthier until the very last stretch. Carrying more weight means you're stronger and feel better in the gym. By fight week, they are usually 10 to 15 pounds over the target weight. That's when things get serious. Step 2. The diet cut. Before the brutal cut, there's the diet phase. This is when fighters cut out all the fun. No sugar, no fried foods, no cheat meals. It's a lean, protein, veggies, rice, and gallons of water diet. Some fighters even water load, drinking crazy amounts of water for days, then suddenly cutting back to trick the body into flushing itself out. Georges St. Pierre was famously disciplined. He never had a bad weight cut.
And what type of fasting, like what exactly were you doing?
I did two types. I did what we call time restricted eating, where you eat in you eat all your calorie in a certain window.
Okay, like an intermittent fasting kind of
like
thing?
you eat your calorie in 8 hours, and you fast on, like, you only drink water in the 16 hour. And I do also prolonged fasting. So what I do when I do prolonged fasting, I do 4 days, only water.
But for others, their natural size makes it brutal. Take Anthony Rumble Johnson. Early in his career, he tried fighting at welterweight, 170 pounds, despite being built like a light heavyweight. He missed weight multiple times, once coming in at 197 pounds for a 170 pound fight. His body just couldn't handle it. That's the dark side of the diet cut. Push it too far and you're already drained before the fight week even begins. Step 3. The water cut. This is where things get scary. The last 8 to 10 pounds is not fat, it's water. Fighters purposely dehydrate themselves to make weight, with saunas, hot salt baths, and running on a treadmill in layers of plastic, wrapping themselves up in towels, blankets, until they sweat buckets. Fighters start looking like zombies. They're dizzy, wobbling, and sometimes even hallucinating from dehydration. Some faint and some end up hospitalized. TJ Dillashaw even admitted that when he tried to cut to 125 pounds, he was literally going blind from dehydration. His body started shutting down, and in the fight, Henry Cejudo finished him in under a minute. Even Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the most dominant lightweights in history, nearly destroyed his career with weight cut. His fight with Tony Ferguson at UFC 209, well, it was cancelled because Khabib's kidneys shut down during the cut. These aren't rookies, these are champions, and the process is still almost killing them. Step 4. Weigh-in day. This is the most dramatic moment. The fighters shuffle to the scale, sometimes needing coaches to hold them up.
I passed out, I woke up, I was on the floor, and then people were over me. One of the guys from Alpha Male, Danny Castillo was there. He took charge of the situation. He was pressing down. He was, putting ice on me and stuff like that. I remember holding him a little bit and I passed out again.
They strip down, step on the scale, and pray that the number flashes right. Fans have seen unforgettable moments. Jose Aldo barely being able to walk doing a cut in Brazil. Charles Oliveira losing his lightweight title on the scale after coming just a half pound over. And even the most recent example of Brian Ortega looking like he's about to die, walking to the scale to fight Aljamain. Sometimes the fight ends before before it begins. The cut alone has already beaten the fighter. Step 5. Rehydration. Here's the crazy part. The same fighters who looked half dead on Friday, by Saturday, well, they're completely different people. Once the scale is cleared, it's time to rehydrate. Fighters chuck electrolyte drinks, eat massive meals, and slowly bring water back into their system. IV bags used to do the trick until USADA banned them. Fighters gain 10, 15, sometimes 20 pounds in just 24 hours. That's why a 155-pound fighter usually fights at 175, or a welterweight fighter at 190. Think of Paulo Costa, for example, who looked like a light heavyweight when he fought Marvin Vettori, or Darren Till at welterweight, so massive that Tyron Woodley looked undersized next to him. The rehydration phase turns weight cuts into an illusion, because on fight night, the fighter looks like himself. Step 6. Fight night. By the time the cage door closes, fighters look fully sized again. But the real question is, did the cut take too much out of them? Too much dehydration wrecks the cardio, chin, and recovery. Think about it. Your brain floats in a fluid inside of your skull. When the fluid is drained from cutting water, the brain is literally more likely to get rattled. And that's how knockouts happen. And then there's weight bullying. Have you ever watched a fight and thought to yourself, how are these guys even in the same weight class? A weight bully is someone who cuts insane amounts just to rehydrate way more than their opponent. Darren Till or Gleison Tebow are great examples of this. They looked massive on fight night compared to their opponents. On the flip side, Frankie Edgar barely cut anything and he still beat bigger guys, showing that it's not all about the weight cut. That's basically how a weight cut goes. Weeks of dieting, days of sweating, hours of hallucination, fainting, and even going blind. All for that one moment on the scale. And then there's a complete transformation before stepping into the cage. It's one of the wildest traditions in sports and also one of the most dangerous. UFC fighters got released because they just couldn't make weight. Fights have been cancelled and champions like Charles Oliveira lost their belts without throwing a punch. Other promotions like One Championship actually take a different approach. They banned extreme dehydration cuts after a fighter tragically passed away. Now athletes compete closer to their natural weight, with hydration tests making sure no one is draining themselves to gain an advantage. The UFC, on the other hand, still goes the traditional weight cut way. They have talked about changes, more weight classes, maybe same day weigh-ins, but nothing's happened yet. For now, weight cutting is just a part of the game. The real question is, how long can it last? And maybe more importantly, what's the next big disaster that will finally force a change? Because right now in MMA, weight cutting isn't just about discipline. It feels like survival.